It was a bright Saturday morning in the small town of Brooksville, the sun shining warmly over neatly lined houses and manicured lawns. Angela Parker, a black woman in her early 40s, stepped out of her home, dressed casually in jeans and a light sweater, ready to tend to her garden and enjoy a quiet morning. Her lawn was impeccably maintained, with vibrant flowers and freshly trimmed grass, reflecting both her care and her pride in her property. Angela had recently been elected as the town's mayor, a position she had earned through years of community involvement, advocacy, and diligent work to improve the town. Yet she preferred to keep a low profile in her daily routines, blending professionalism with approachable warmth as she carried out her personal tasks. As Angela began tending her garden, a white neighbor, Karen Thompson, approached, her expression tense and critical. "Angela, your grass is getting out of control again. Honestly, you need to keep it in check," she said, her tone sharp and condescending. Angela paused and looked up at Karen with a calm, measured smile, replying politely, "Thank you for your concern. I'll make sure to handle it." Karen huffed, clearly expecting Angela to react defensively or to apologize. But Angela remained composed, her posture relaxed yet confident. Passers-by on the street paused, sensing the tension between the two women, the energy of confrontation lingering subtly in the air. Karen continued to criticize the lawn, pointing out minor imperfections with a mix of irritation and superiority. Angela listened patiently, her demeanor calm and steady, not rising to the bait of her neighbor's sharp words. She continued her work with focus and grace, demonstrating through action the difference between casual judgment and thoughtful composure. The contrast between Karen's assumptions and Angela's quiet confidence began to attract the attention of other neighbors, some of whom paused to observe the unfolding interaction, curious about the subtle yet clear power dynamic at play. Suddenly, Angela paused and turned to address Karen directly, maintaining calm eye contact. "By the way, Karen, I should probably remind you that I was recently elected mayor of Brooksville," she said with quiet authority. Karen froze instantly, her critical expression faltering into shock and disbelief. The neighbor's mouth opened slightly, her earlier assertiveness evaporating as she processed the revelation. Other residents on the street, witnessing the interaction, exchanged looks of surprise, their attention drawn to the dramatic reversal of assumptions and power. Angela's calm, composed demeanor did not waver as Karen struggled to find words. The abrupt shift in authority left a powerful impression on the observer and on Karen herself. The casual arrogance of assuming superiority over someone based on appearances or personal biases had been instantly overturned. Angela finished her work with serene assurance, leaving the lesson in humility and respect lingering in the air. Passers-by nodded subtly, appreciating the quiet authority Angela exuded, and the street, once marked by tension, now carried a sense of acknowledgement and awareness of earned respect. By the time Angela returned inside her home, the sun reflecting warmly on the vibrant lawn, Karen remained frozen on the sidewalk, stunned by the revelation. The dramatic contrast between her assumptions and reality left a lasting impression, not only on her, but on anyone who had witnessed the scene. Angela's quiet confidence, professionalism, and earned authority had transformed what could have been a mundane complaint into a striking demonstration of respect, power, and the subtle ways in which leadership and composure influence perception. The morning after the confrontation, Angela Parker went about her usual routine with calm assurance, moving through her home and garden with the same measured focus that had defined her life as a community leader. The streets of Brooksville were lively with neighbors tending their yards, children playing, and local residents going about errands. Yet Angela navigated it all with quiet confidence, fully aware of her influence yet unshaken by the previous day's tension. The encounter with Karen Thompson had served as a subtle reminder of how assumptions and biases can cloud judgment, and Angela carried herself with composure, understanding that respect is earned through actions, consistency, and presence, rather than through confrontation or displays of authority. Throughout the morning, Angela addressed personal errands and town-related correspondence with clarity and diligence. She checked emails, reviewed schedules for upcoming community meetings, and prepared notes for initiatives she was leading as mayor. Each task was handled with precision and calm professionalism, subtly reinforcing the authority she held within the town without the need to assert it overtly. Passers-by who observed her including a few neighbors who had witnessed the lawn confrontation, noted her composed demeanor and steady focus, quietly acknowledging the respect she commanded without needing to voice it aloud. Later in the afternoon, Angela stepped outside to inspect other parts of her property, pruning flowers and trimming shrubs with care. Karen Thompson appeared again on her porch, lingering with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension, unsure how to approach the woman she had publicly criticized. Angela greeted her politely, nodding in acknowledgement but continuing her work with calm efficiency. The contrast between Karen's awkward hesitance and Angela's composed authority was unmistakable, and nearby neighbors could sense the subtle but clear reversal of power. Angela's behavior demonstrated that respect and leadership are not dependent on confrontation, titles, or ego. They are communicated through consistent composure, professionalism, and action. By evening, Angela returned inside her home after finishing her yard work, reflecting quietly on the dynamics of the neighborhood and the lessons embedded in the encounter with Karen. She understood that casual assumptions and mockery often reveal more about the person making them than about the one being judged, and that composure and quiet authority can instantly transform perceptions. Her influence as mayor was now subtly evident, not through proclamations, but through the respect and attention she commanded in everyday interactions. The previous day's confrontation had been brief yet powerful, leaving a lasting lesson in humility and acknowledgement for all who had witnessed it. And Angela moved through the remainder of the day with calm satisfaction, aware that her behavior continued to shape perceptions and interactions in Brooksville. By midweek, Angela Parker had fully settled into the rhythm of her dual life as both a private resident and the town's mayor, her calm authority subtly influencing interactions throughout the neighborhood. The streets of Brooksville were alive with activity, neighbors tending their yards, children playing, and delivery vehicles making their rounds. Angela moved through the environment with composed confidence, walking to check on local community projects and attending to her own property with precision and care. The incident with Karen Thompson, though brief, lingered in her mind as a lesson in human perception and bias, a reminder of how quickly assumptions can form and how power dynamics can shift when calm authority is asserted. Throughout the morning, Angela attended meetings with local residents and small business owners, discussing town initiatives and community concerns with clarity and focus. Her demeanor remained composed and approachable, commanding attention without the need for displays of ego or forceful assertion. Residents listened attentively, asking questions and taking notes, while Angela provided thoughtful guidance and decisive direction. Karen, aware of Angela's growing influence, remained hesitant, observing from a distance as the once dismissive neighbor began to recognize the depth of her authority and capability. The contrast between Karen's assumptions and Angela's demonstrated competence became increasingly evident, reinforcing the lesson that respect is earned through action and presence rather than superficial judgment. Later in the afternoon, Angela returned to her property to continue tending her garden, pruning and arranging flowers with meticulous care. Neighbors passing by paused briefly, some offering polite greetings, others watching with subtle acknowledgement of her dual role in the community. The calm composure she displayed, coupled with her evident skill and organization, made it clear that her authority extended beyond the mayoral title. It was reinforced in every interaction, every action, and every decision she made. Karen, standing awkwardly nearby, could no longer maintain her previous airs of superiority. Her shock and astonishment, a quiet acknowledgement of Angela's quiet but undeniable power. By evening, Angela reflected on the events of the day, while enjoying the tranquility of her home and garden. She understood that the initial confrontation had been a small but profound moment, a demonstration of how quick judgments and casual mockery can be upended by competence, composure, and authority. The subtle shifts in the neighborhood, the respect she had earned from residents, and the lessons imparted to individuals like Karen were all part of a larger narrative. Leadership, presence, and dignity command acknowledgement in ways that superficial assumptions cannot anticipate. Angela moved through her evening with calm assurance, fully aware that her actions and demeanor had not only addressed a single confrontation, but also reinforced the values of respect, professionalism, and quiet authority throughout the town. By the following morning, Angela Parker had settled further into her daily routine, balancing her responsibilities as mayor with her personal life in a way that conveyed calm authority and approachable leadership. The town of Brooksville awoke to the usual sounds of morning activity: the hum of cars, children laughing as they walked to school, and neighbors tending their yards. Yet Angela moved through it all with composed focus, tending to her own property while staying mindful of her community obligations. Her interaction with Karen Thompson earlier in the week had left a lasting impression, not as a source of conflict, but as a reminder that perception and respect are shaped by behavior, composure, and consistent authority. Throughout the morning, Angela engaged with local residents, answering questions about town initiatives, providing guidance on community projects, and listening attentively to concerns. Her calm, professional demeanor inspired immediate respect, reinforcing the perception that her authority was earned through competence and dedication rather than being merely a title. Observing her in action, neighbors and community members began to understand the depth of her leadership, noting how she balanced firmness with approachability, decisiveness with patience. Karen, witnessing these interactions, felt increasingly aware of her earlier misjudgment, recognizing that casual assumptions had been completely overturned by Angela's consistent professionalism and presence. Later in the afternoon, Angela returned to her yard to continue tending her garden. She worked methodically, pruning, planting, and arranging flowers with care and attention. Passers-by, curious about the previous confrontation, paused briefly to watch, exchanging whispers about her calm authority and the shift in neighborhood dynamics. The contrast between Karen's earlier arrogance and Angela's quiet composure was evident to anyone observing, serving as a subtle but powerful lesson in respect, humility, and the enduring impact of consistent, competent behavior. Angela's calm approach communicated influence without force, demonstrating that authority is recognized when backed by skill, confidence, and steady composure. By evening, Angela reflected on the events of the day as she walked through her neighborhood, appreciating the subtle shifts in perception and respect that had emerged. The earlier confrontation had proven to be a moment of transformation, highlighting how leadership, dignity, and composure shape the way individuals are perceived and treated. Angela understood that the respect she earned was a product of her consistent behavior and quiet authority, not confrontation or displays of superiority. As she returned home, the sun casting a warm glow on her lawn, Angela felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing that her presence, professionalism, and measured demeanor had left a lasting impression on both her neighbors and the community she served. By midweek, Angela Parker had fully established her quiet but unmistakable authority in the neighborhood. Her morning began with the familiar rhythm of checking on her property, watering plants, and ensuring her lawn reflected the care she put into it. Yet every action carried an air of calm composure and understated influence. Neighbors passing by could sense her presence, noticing the effortless way she managed her yard, greeted community members, and maintained both personal and professional responsibilities. The encounter with Karen Thompson had become a subtle point of reference, a reminder to all that assumptions based on appearances or casual bias could be instantly overturned by competence, dignity, and authority. Throughout the morning, Angela coordinated with local contractors and community volunteers, planning upcoming town improvements and initiatives. Her communication was clear, precise, and measured, commanding attention not through force but through expertise and calm confidence. Claire Reynolds' earlier attitude, once mocking or dismissive, had transformed into attentive respect, as had the demeanor of other neighbors who had witnessed the earlier interaction. Angela's leadership extended beyond her official duties. It was visible in every detail, every gesture, and every interaction, demonstrating that authority is conveyed through composure, competence, and consistent action. Later in the afternoon, Angela returned to tending her garden, arranging flowers and trimming shrubs with deliberate care. Karen Thompson appeared nearby again, watching hesitantly, her posture stiff with lingering astonishment. Angela acknowledged her with a polite nod but continued her work, her calm composure emphasizing the unspoken lesson of respect and authority. Other residents observed quietly, noting the contrast between Angela's measured professional presence and Karen's earlier critical demeanor. The lesson was clear. Respect is earned through competence, consistency, and composure, not through judgment, arrogance, or superficial impressions. By evening, Angela reflected on the events of the week while reviewing town plans and correspondence from her home office. The transformation in the neighborhood's perception was subtle but unmistakable. Neighbors, staff, and community members alike now treated her with a mixture of admiration, respect, and attentive recognition. The initial confrontation with Karen Thompson had served as both a personal lesson and a demonstration to the community of the power of calm authority and composure. As Angela stepped outside one final time to admire her yard, the sun casting a warm glow over the greenery, she carried the satisfaction of knowing that her behavior, professionalism, and quiet authority had left a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed her actions, subtly shaping perceptions and reinforcing respect throughout the town. By the following week, Angela Parker had become a subtle but undeniable force in the neighborhood, her calm authority shaping both personal interactions and community dynamics. The streets of Brooksville were bustling with activity, from children riding bikes to neighbors tending their own yards. Yet Angela moved through it all with composed confidence, maintaining her property while attending to mayoral duties and community concerns. The encounter with Karen Thompson had long faded as a moment of tension, now replaced by the quiet awareness that Angela's consistent behavior, professionalism, and presence commanded respect effortlessly. Passersby noticed the measured care she put into her work and the natural composure she carried, reinforcing the perception that she was both capable and authoritative without needing to assert dominance. Throughout the morning, Angela coordinated with local residents and town staff on various initiatives, addressing questions, offering guidance, and planning upcoming improvements. Her tone remained calm and precise, instilling confidence and trust in those she worked with. Employees and volunteers responded promptly and respectfully, their behavior reflecting acknowledgement of her competence and steady leadership. Even neighbors who had previously judged her, like Karen, observed quietly, aware that their earlier assumptions had been completely upended. Angela's quiet authority extended beyond her title. It was visible in her actions, her measured communication, and the calm way she addressed any issues that arose. Later in the afternoon, Angela spent time outside tending her garden, trimming shrubs, planting new flowers, and ensuring that her lawn reflected both her pride and attention to detail. Karen Thompson lingered nearby, hesitant, her earlier arrogance replaced with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. Angela acknowledged her with a brief nod, continuing her work with serene composure, letting the display of professionalism and consistent care speak for itself. Other neighbors passing by exchanged glances, quietly impressed by the effortless authority Angela projected, a subtle but undeniable reminder that respect is earned through actions and composure rather than assumptions or casual judgment. By evening, Angela returned inside, reviewing town correspondence, preparing for upcoming community meetings, and reflecting on the ongoing impact of her behavior in the neighborhood. The quiet respect she had earned had transformed both personal interactions and broader perceptions, demonstrating that authority and influence are recognized through composure, consistency, and earned credibility. As she glanced out at her perfectly maintained lawn, glowing in the warm light of the setting sun, Angela felt a sense of satisfaction, aware that her presence, actions, and calm authority had left a lasting impression on her neighbors and the broader community, subtly shaping perceptions and reinforcing respect for her leadership. By the end of the week, Angela Parker had fully established her quiet authority in the neighborhood, her composed presence recognized and respected by neighbors, staff, and community members alike. Karen Thompson, who had initially criticized her lawn, now approached interactions with subtle attentiveness and humility, aware of the stark contrast between her assumptions and Angela's demonstrated competence and leadership. Angela moved through her daily routine with calm assurance, balancing personal tasks, community engagements, and mayoral responsibilities with effortless composure. Every action reinforced the authority she held, not through overt assertion, but through consistent professionalism, skill, and dignity. Throughout the day, Angela addressed town matters, coordinated with residents and staff, and checked on neighborhood concerns with measured focus. Her clear communication, composed demeanor, and confident approach drew immediate attention and respect, reinforcing the culture of accountability and professionalism she had quietly nurtured. Observers, including neighbors who had witnessed the lawn confrontation, recognized the contrast between casual assumptions and the authority earned through consistent action. Angela's leadership was evident, not in forceful commands, but in the subtle, undeniable influence her presence exerted on those around her. Later in the afternoon, Angela returned to her garden, tending her lawn and arranging flowers with deliberate care. Passers-by paused briefly, observing her calm authority and the respect it commanded, while Karen Thompson lingered awkwardly, now fully aware of her earlier misjudgment. The contrast between assumption and reality was palpable. Casual arrogance and judgment had been instantly overturned by composure, professionalism, and demonstrated leadership. Angela's actions reinforced the lesson that respect is earned, not assumed, and that authority manifests most powerfully through behavior, consistency, and integrity. By evening, Angela reflected on the week's events as she prepared for the next day. The neighborhood had subtly shifted in perception. Respect, acknowledgement, and quiet admiration had replaced casual assumptions and bias. Her calm presence, professional conduct, and consistent authority had left an enduring impression, shaping interactions and perceptions far beyond a single confrontation. Angela Parker, tending her vibrant lawn as the sun cast a golden glow over the neighborhood, understood that true influence and leadership are conveyed not through appearances or declarations, but through composure, competence, and the quiet assurance that commands attention and earns lasting respect from all who witness it.